Teabba Radio Network. Joining me in the studio is a very good friend of ours, Mr. Salimon Joseph, who is an audiologist, for those who are unfamiliar with that term. It's an expert in all things hearing, a hearing doctor, if I may. And you're from Territory Hearing.
Absolutely. Brendon, you only introduced me to Teabba Radio a few years back, okay, and I'm so grateful to you. And as you know, tomorrow is March 3rd. That is considered to be, according to World Health Organization, World Hearing Day. And the week is called the World Hearing Week. And we know there are so many things happening around the world now, okay, but the hearing is so important, and the message this year in 2026 for the world is from communities to classroom, hearing care for all children. As you know, children's hearing is so important, and in medical terminology, we say that justice delayed is justice denied, and the healthcare delayed is also is delayed the treatment.
Yeah.
So in hearing health also is so important. Our First Nation children in the community, they need to have good hearing. Then only they can prosper in their life. And there is a very good message by the World Health Organization that I will read from their page, that if hearing health is not addressed at the right time, this is not only affects a child's ability to hear, but significantly impacts speech, language, cognitive, and social development, commonly leading to poor educational outcome, reduced employment prospects, and long-term economic disadvantage.
Because, as you said, hearing is very, very important for the development of growing human beings, because if you can't hear instructions, it's kind of hard to work out how the world works, isn't it? Because that's the foundation of learning, not only to speak, but it's the learning of different cultures, learning of things around you, and how the world works, isn't it? Because hearing is one of the things that I think is really, really important to take care of, because we're kind of pressured in modern days, you know, watch out for this, watch out for that, watch out for the foods you eat, and all these sorts of things. But, you know, hey, you got to protect your hearing too, because if you can't hear that car coming down the road, or that bus, or, you know, danger, 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 you kind of stuck in this world that you can't hear. So very important to protect your hearing.
Spot on, Brendon, because the hearing is essential for speech and language development. And the community from I come from, and your community, you know, in the First Nation communities, there is no script for language. And the children are learning language by hearing. So the First Nation, the Australian indigenous community is one of the oldest living civilization in the planet Earth. 60,000 years they have survived in this land. That means they had a good system, and they had many languages, around 500 plus languages. And when the older people die, the language also dies. And many governments are trying hard to preserve the old languages. But unfortunately here, we lost many languages. When the elderly population die, the language also die with them. And the new generation, they are not learning their language, unfortunately, because they are going to English-speaking schools. And bilingual or multilingual language is not a priority many times in our schools. And where I learned my mother tongue, I am from southern part of India called Kerala. An average Indian will speak 3 to 4 languages, because my mother tongue is called Malayalam. It has got 56 letters and many combinations. And if you say any sound, I can reproduce it without knowing the meaning, because 56 letters and many combinations is a tongue-twisting words I can reproduce. So language learning should happen early in our life, because later it will be very hard. if someone teach me French or other language at this age, it would be very difficult for me to learn because there is a saying that the brain plasticity of a child is at its peak from 0 to 5. At that age, we mimic whatever we hear. And then we can easily learn a couple of languages in the early years. Later, it becomes, a bit more harder.
Yeah. We're just going to take a short break now. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us here at Teabba Radio about a very, very interesting and very important subject, which of course is hearing. So we'll be back after this break. So I'm just going to leave it run, and then we'll come back in. And so that way she can edit it and put it together.
Systematic way of doing things,
Yeah. All right, we are tuned to the Teabba Radio Network. Well, you are tuned to the Teabba Radio Network, and thank you so much for your company on this beautiful program that we have running today. And it is a very important one because we have Salimon Joseph, who is an expert audiologist. He's here to talk about all things hearing. But tomorrow, I believe, is World Hearing Day, which is the 3rd of, I can't believe it's already January, February, March. Yeah, the year's flying, isn't it? So anyway, the 3rd of March is World Hearing Day. Now, I know for a fact that hearing is very, very important because I live with someone who's hard of hearing, my father. It's kind of funny in a way because when we talk, I would say something and then I have to repeat it. But when I repeat it, I have to the volume level the decibels have to go up. If he doesn't hear me on the second time, then the decibel levels go up. So in the end, it sounds like we're kind of arguing.
The same thing happening at my house too. My mother-in-law, she is with us as a tourist, and she's 87. And we did the hearing test on her, and then she is reluctant to wear hearing aids. And the same thing happening. And the interesting thing is, because she has got significant hearing loss in the high frequency, moderate to severe hearing loss, the problem is when she watches TV, the volume is very high.
Yes.
No one can sit near to her.
Yeah.
And then
same as my father.
And the solution we found is we need to have a peace of mind, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then we bought a wireless headphone. And she can directly hear from the TV, and then we can go with our own businesses at home without the disturbance of very high decibel sound. The people in the community or people in our own houses, if you have a father or mother and having significant hearing loss, and if they are not willing to wear hearing aids are the best option because the hearing aid will amplify the sound for them, and then other people also can watch TV at the same time. But in this particular scenario, the transmission only goes to with the wireless headset only to one person, and then it will be muted for other people. So buy a cordless headset, and which is compatible with the TV, and then they can listen TV. And you can function normally, and your children will have a normal atmosphere. They can concentrate on their study if they are school
going and things like that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Because another tip that my dad uses is actually having the subtitles on. So he's reading the subtitles, but he's got it at full blast. It's like, choose one, mate. But yeah, we were saying before the break that it is very important for a younger generation to actually have their hearing as they're growing up, because hearing culture, it's all intertwined in a very kind of delicate way. So if the child has trouble hearing when they're growing up, obviously they can't hear instructions, they can't hear what's being taught, what's being said, and at that point, it's kind of a bit sad, but the best thing is prevention, isn't it?
Absolutely. And according to World Health Organization, around 90 million children having otitis media with effusion and discharge from the ear and earwax occlusion, all those problems there. And in the community, especially in Northern Territory community, there are a lot of children having this issue. And the role of an audiologist is so significant in diagnosing the middle ear infection is in many ways. Generally, a doctor has got an otoscope. Otoscope is a tool which helps us to see the ear canal. And many times what happens is the children will have wax in their ear. When they have wax and it's completely blocked, we cannot see the tympanic membrane or eardrum. Okay. And it's a bit hard for a doctor to make a diagnosis. But when they are transferred to an audiologist, we have otoscope and we have a machine called a tympanometer. That is a middle ear function analyzer. And that is outside the scope of practice of a doctor. So that is a tool which audiologists, one of the tool audiologists use to find out how the middle part of the ear functions. And through that one, we can exactly find out what is happening in the middle part. Okay, that machine, I think in the past I showcased that machine here, and basically what it does is it forces the tympanic membrane to vibrate, and when it vibrates, so there are a couple of results we get. It will give the ear canal oleum, the oleum from the entry of the ear canal to the tympanic membrane. And the other thing it gives is static compliance, means how well the eardrum is moving. And the other reading which gives is how the middle ear pressure. So all these things gives us a better understanding what is the current state of the middle ear status. Yeah. And sometimes it can be perforation, sometimes it can be middle ear dysfunction, and sometimes it can be eustachian tube dysfunction. So there is a tube that is connecting from the middle ear to the back of the throat. So generally it is closed, but whenever we swallow, when we yawn, the tube opens up. Yeah. That is why during takeoff and landing, we all feel a bit of discomfort in our ear because the pressure changes. The cabin pressure changes significantly compared to the middle ear pressure. Yeah. And then we swallow or we do the Valsalva maneuver, close the nose.
Close the nose, blow the ears, yeah.
Absolutely. Then it opens up, and you will see small babies, newborn babies, they start to cry as soon as the plane take off. Yeah. And smart mothers, what they do, they breastfeed the child. Each time the child drink the milk, they will force to swallow. Each time when they swallow, the eustachian tube opens up and it equalizes, and the child will be fine. Okay, and when the plane reaches a certain height, there is no pressure difference except turbulence time.
Yeah, and I mean, for those people out there who might be wondering, my child's not listening to me, they're being maybe naughty, but maybe it's just a case of they're not having the proper hearing that they should. So best option would be to go and get them checked out ASAP as soon as possible. That way, if you get the problems earlier, then you can kind of fix them.
Absolutely. And the problem is many people, they don't know, and we don't have the in-house audiologists in the community. Yeah. That is a pitfall. That is a problem. If we are in an urban setup, we have audiology clinics. Yeah. But in community, there is no resident audiologist. Right. Even the biggest community like our Manangrida, around 3,000 population, they don't have a resident audiologist. Yeah. And the visiting audiologist, once in a while, every 3 months or so, the audiologists come for 3-4 days. That's all. Yeah. So that is why the healthcare, our community people are disadvantaged because of no resident audiologists in the community.
Maybe we should get a petition going and approach the government, and maybe we should start having audiologist residents out in communities to take care of the problem that's happening out there. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us here at Teabba Radio. It's always awesome to have you in here, and we look forward to having you back again. And happy World Hearing Day and week.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Brendon. Okay, it's nice to be catching up with you again, and it's a pleasure. Thank you very much, Teabba Radio and the team.